Alright, so you have a spot for your name up here at the top, and then where it says title of work, you're going to put your name of your brand instead. This is actually a concept map that I took from the AP Lit teacher so that you would be familiar next year with your whole research concept. But we need to make it suit our purposes. So up in the top of the corner, you're going to put the title of your brand. I put Friskies on mine. And I put this Post-it note over the thesis box, or the claim box, because that's going to be the very last thing that I want you to fill in. You're not going to know exactly what you're claiming or what you're arguing until you've come up with all the evidence and all the topic sentences that you want to cover in your paper. You can see that the basic layout for this research paper is going to be 5 paragraphs. You're going to have an introductory paragraph, maybe 2, depending on your topic. You're going to have at least 3 body paragraphs where you go into all your evidence, and then you'll have a short and sweet conclusion at the end. Alright, so when I was filling this out, which I did about 30 minutes yesterday and then maybe 10 minutes this morning to finish it up. It took me about 40 minutes total to get all my sources and fill out my concept map. I actually started on this box right here. So I'm going to zoom in for you so that you can see that better. So I was thinking about the difference between that old Friskies commercial where the cat was just kind of sitting on the couch and looking out the window versus the new Friskies Deer King commercials. And the thing that really struck me was, of course, the fact that the cat has a voice in the new commercials. And he's narrating the entire thing to this new kid that has come into his household. So I decided that what I would like to analyze, the whole revolutionary, game-changing aspect that Friskies has introduced in this campaign, is the fact that the cat now has a voice. So I want to figure out why. Why did they decide to give the cat a voice? That is my item for analysis. So this first thing that I came up with is that giving the cat a voice helps the brand of Friskies. It helps them sell playful, almost hedonistic food. Hedonistic meaning that it is something that is indulged in just simply for pleasure. So it's the best of the best flavors, the best ingredients, etc. So Friskies prides itself on being a playful brand. Their commercials focus on, especially the new Deer King commercials, focus on sense of humor and hijinks that the cats get up to, with Bakum in the commercials and everything. They're definitely using a playful tone to try to reach their audience. And the hedonism comes into play because they list the ingredients for these cat food flavors. They sell them as being like garden vegetable variety and sea salt tuna. And all these are things the cats don't care about. Cats don't care what the flavor of the food that they're eating is flavored like, or what you call it. But the fact that we're picking up cans of food that are labeled with things like garden vegetable medley makes people feel like they're giving their cat the best of the best. And their cat is really going to enjoy this can of food more than they would if the can was just chicken flavored. So I was thinking about what kind of details I could use that would help support this whole idea. And I have 3 details from various different sources. You can see they're all different colors. I have 3 details from my sources that I feel like would help me make this argument. First of all, I thought that I could use the color usage PowerPoint or video that I've already shown you in this class to talk about how the color usage of yellow and orange and red, the primary colors in the Friskies logo, help appeal to energy, playfulness, and hunger, hedonism. So I thought that that would be an interesting point to bring up, the psychology of color. Again, it doesn't have any effect on the cats themselves, but they're marketing toward humans. So it does indeed have an effect on humans. I also thought I would bring up the language on the cans themselves, like I told you about the garden vegetable medley. I think it would be interesting to analyze exactly how we market cat food toward humans. And then lastly, this is a detail from that first deer kitten YouTube video I just showed you. He says, wet food is so special. It's kept in little armored metal cases that claws cannot penetrate. And he's contrasting it to the dry brown kibble food. But he talks about how lovely and amazing the wet food is. So I think that contributes again to the idea of the Friskies wet food being almost hedonistic. Something of an indulgence for the cats. My second idea was that the commercial uses pathos specifically. Some other commercials for cat food might focus on logos and say there's 57% more protein in Science Diet and that it's all natural and organic and there's nothing that can harm your pet. But Friskies, we don't know anything about the food other than the flavors that's in it. So there's really no logos at all, really no ethical connection. But instead there's a definite primary focus on pathos. But pathos is also the connection that a pet has with all of their humans, or the humans have with all of their pets. There's really no logical reason for us to own pets. I mean, they kind of stink. You have to spend a lot of money on them. They're a hassle. They poop on the floor sometimes. They're sort of annoying from time to time. But the love that we have for them and how cuddly and cute they are totally overshadows all of those things. So pathos is really overshadowing the logical reasons to own a pet because they're so few and far between. We have a pathological connection with our pets. Not a logical connection, but a pathological connection. So it only makes sense that Friskies, a cat food company, would use pathos in their ads as well. So in order to support myself in this whole idea, I found an article where pet owners were surveyed about lots of different topics relating to their ownership. It turns out that they say the chief reasons that they have pets are for a sense of love that you have between yourself and another being, the humor and engagement that pets provide in everyday life, that sense of companionship. So I could use that to support my pathological connection paragraph. In that very same survey, the owners also said that they desire to give or provide for their pets the very best of the best. So I think that would be a reason that people might support these types of commercials, these types of companies. And then lastly, there's a detail from the Regarding the Dog, Friskies ad, where he talked about the fact that humans really need companionship. And he's happy that the dog is there because now the human has somebody to play with when the cats are taking naps. So again, that helps establish that pathos connection between a human and a pet. My first body paragraph, I wanted to focus more on the voice of that cat. Why is it that they decided to give the cat a voice in the new commercials versus the old ones where he was just kind of running around and jumping on couches and looking outside the window? So I started thinking about what the tone of that cat's voice was. And definitely it was humorous. It was somewhat sarcastic in places, sardonic. So I said the humorous, sardonic tone of the narrator, the older cat, in the recent commercials humanizes the cats rather than casting them as voiceless others. It's almost like this cat is now a part of our species in the new commercials. They're talking about things that we know and keep around the house, like the vacuum and the baby and all that other stuff. So it's like they've become part of the family and have been welcomed into our species rather than being others, someone who doesn't even have a voice. In order to support myself on this, I found an article that I'll show you in just a minute where they talk about why brands are attempting to be funny and to have senses of humor in their ads. So I took just a very small quote from that article. Also, I thought I would compare the hits on that old Friskies ad, which is like a couple thousand maybe, to the new Deer Kitten series, which is dozens and dozens of million hits on the new ads, in order to prove that a humorous and sardonic voice really does help captivate the audience better. And then lastly, in that same survey, they analyzed Friskies' share of the market versus other brands, and why people would prefer Friskies food over others. You can see, as I zoom out, that I color-coded all my evidence. So the color usage article got highlighted in yellow, and my key is down here. The commercials were highlighted in orange, and they occur in several different paragraphs. Not all the oranges are in one little bunch. The pet owner survey is in blue. Again, it's 2 separate paragraphs. The can itself, which is going to be a primary source, along with the commercials, something straight from Friskies. And then lastly, the article, which I did a little squiggly red line around. The article about using humor in advertising. So those are the 3 main things that I want to talk about. But I don't want to just create a list of these 3 reasons inside my claim statement. I don't want to say, the Friskies commercial is so powerful because it gives a voice to a cat, comma, it uses pathos, comma, and it helps sell hedonistic food. Because that would be much too repetitive. After the time I get through with all my topic sentences and details, I will have repeated myself multiple times. I don't want to sound basic. So I came up with this claim statement that I feel like does a better job of, it summarizes all 3 of my ideas without being too repetitive. So I said, Friskies' attempt to give cats a voice in their new Dear Kitten campaign is successful because it humanizes the furry creatures and incentivizes consumers to take care of their pets in much the same way the older cat takes care of the kitten, or takes the kitten, under his guidance. So that's one sentence where I've given you the full idea of my paper without repeating the topic sentences themselves. So altogether, that completes your concept map. Got the title of the brand, the thing that you want to analyze about the brand, and then the 3 different pieces of analysis you're providing us with, backed up with evidence that you've gleaned or gathered from different sources.